Hey everybody, Nick here with the Killing for Sport podcast. We are here for a Christmas episode on Christmas, not Christmas Day, Boxing Day for everybody that's Canadian. And we are reviewing Black Christmas. And I am joined always by the dudes, Kevin.
How's it going there? By the way, I do want to clarify 1974's Black Christmas.
Yes.
The original.
The original. Chuck.
Hello, everybody. Eric.
And of
Happy holidays.
course, I Logan.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, this is, of course, the 1974 movie. This has been remade twice. But this is the original, so we're gonna stick with the original. It was directed by Bob Clark, also known for Charles's favorite movie, the 1982 film Porky's, raunchy sex comedy and cinematic masterpieces. Two movies that I remember very fondly in my childhood, and I will never forget the credit scene for Baby Geniuses. When you see the sperm swimming, I had no idea what that was when I was 6.
I didn't either. I thought it was something from Gargoyles.
The movie had a budget of $620,000, box office $4 million. In 2019 dollars, that's a lot of money. This film is commonly noted as one of the first or earliest slasher films to come out, and was very innovative in shaping the horror genre, especially slasher films. Before Halloween and Friday the 13th, there was this movie.
Yeah, that topic is definitely going to come back up a lot. It's a big deal, this movie.
So to establish the setting, we open up on a standstill shot of a sorority house, festively decorated after the war on Christmas is finally over. Just kidding. As we are treated to a very sanctimonious and enchanting rendition of Silent Night. Then, wasting no time whatsoever, we are immediately introduced to our antagonist, the first-person point of view. He is a ghost, obviously.
No.
Although we don't see his face, but rather we see through his eyes. First-person point of view. Like the movies, I don't know. Perhaps you've heard of them. Halloween or Friday the 13th.
Yep.
So he breathes very heavily as he lurks and creeps around outside the house for a little bit. His silhouette appears in front of the camera as he looks through a window. Cut to inside of the house and cue Margot Kidler.
Argo.
Wow, that was you could not have butchered
that
that more.
has a T at the end of it.
It's Margot.
I am reading it as if I am Ron.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yes, I'm Ron Burgundy.
Sending this to Matthew from Botchamania.
God damn it, Charles. Okay, so cut to outside of the house and cue Margot Kidder, famous for portraying Lois Lane, as well as randomly walking into someone's house because of a mental breakdown. like in Family Guy. In this movie, she plays an obnoxious drunkard and mean girl. Her character, Barb, over someone leaving... What?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hang on. Let me see here.
Fuck.
What
Okay,
Charles,
she
put what it's supposed to say in the chat.
Okay, yeah, good idea.
Edit all this out.
Oh, yeah.
Off to a fucking smashing start.
Her character Barb over someone. It just
Margot
sounds like
Kidler.
you're reading from a script.
I am reading from a script. God damn it.
All right.
Charles, you still managed to fuck it up. You motherfucker, you're fired!
Lady.
We do thank you for doing it, though. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I'm just saying it in jest. You're still fired,
Okay,
though.
her character, Barb,
Because I ain't typing that shit.
complains over someone leaving. Okay.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Margot Kidder's character. Right.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
Oh fuck, we don't want to. Can we not have this conversation right now?
Sorry, I'm just trying to kill the silence.
No, there is no silence. Charles put it in the chat.
Did he?
We're ready to go.
I didn't see it. What the fuck? Where is it? I don't see it.
Scroll down. I don't know.
There, dude.
I don't see it.
It's in the chat.
I
I
don't
even
see
see
it.
it twice.
Why is it not showing up in my chat? God damn it. Oh, well, you know why? It's because Facebook's open.
It's in the Discord chat.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, I don't have Discord open. I don't get notifications because I have to like make sure that it's still recording and everything, so it'll get fucked over.
I'll read the one line, and everybody will be like, "Why the fuck did he just
Her
say one
character
line?"
Barb complains over someone leaving the door open. And okay. All right. Her character Barb complains over someone leaving the door open and shuts it. So I'm guessing he was the one that opened it but couldn't get in because there were too many people around?
I
Yeah.
thought he actually opened it and entered. I didn't. I mean, that's just my assumption. I don't know.
So he hasn't climbed the thing yet.
No, not yet. I think
Oh,
he tried to open it to slip by, and then there was too many people because they were having a party, and then Margot Kidder scared him away because when she shuts the door, you see him like nearby moving away from it. So I think he was trying to go in.
Margot. So the killer then climbs up a vine rack on the side of the house and enters into the attic. Luckily for him, the window is open. Inside the house, we're introduced to our primary motherfucker. Inside the house,
I'm narrating.
shut up. Inside the house, we're introduced to our primary protagonist named Jess, who answers the phone in the most obnoxiously loud manner ever.
Yeah, throughout the movie, probably like 3 or 4 times, even when there's no noise, she picks up the phone and goes, "Hello, what?"
You kind of wish she dies at one point.
It's like horrified look on her face, even when nothing's happening. It's kind of cringe, actually.
Yeah, it's like overacting.
So Olivia Hussey, who plays Jess, was in such classics as the made-for-TV film Psycho 4, The Beginning, and then 90s horror classic and direct-to-video masterpiece The Ice Cream Man, starring Clint Howard, younger brother of famous director Ron Howard, and star of Santa with Muscles.
Just for the record, I have seen both Psycho 4 and The Ice Cream Man.
Yeah, but have you seen Santa with Muscles?
Oh.
Brother.
I actually would love to see Ice Cream Man either for Bad Movie Night or for this podcast or something. I don't care. I've been meaning to see this movie for years,
So
and I know it sucks. I know it's not
It's worth it. It's definitely worth it.
Do you think Ron gives him a paycheck, like an allowance every month?
Dude, Clint Howard has been in enough stuff to where, I mean, I guess he's got royalties from the movies he's been in that his brother directed, but like, don't talk shit on Clint Howard.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good. I love Clint Howard, character actor.
Speaking of Santa with Muscles, all I can think about is the Hulk Hogan tweet when he thought Bam Margera was dead.
What?
He thought Bam Margera was Ryan. What was it? Ryan Howard.
Damn,
Ryan
Bam, I
Dunn.
wish you were still here with us. I sure would love to hang out again. My brother, love you, miss you, HH.
Oh,
So the killer climbs down from the attic into the house while the party goes on, and he watches Margaret. Fuck this shit. So the killer climbs down from the attic into the house while the party goes on, and he watches Margot. What's her character's name?
Barb.
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 He watches
Like-
Barbara. Barb. Yeah, he watches Barb from the top of the stairs as she talks to her mother, and it's worth noting that we can hear her say, "You're a gold-plated whore, mother."
I just wanted to mention, through the killer's point of view, we get to see a sign of the times. Those awful orange 70s shag rugs, actually.
Does that mean
All
having,
over.
having sex on the
Yeah. Oh, God.
Because that's what shag means, right? To have sex.
I guess looking back on it, yes.
Spot who shagged me.
Yeah.
I guess it all makes sense now. I never thought of it like that until now.
That's first time I heard that word was from there.
Yeah, same here. So for the second time now, Jess answers the phone and screams, "Hello!" And it's a man on the phone, and they've been getting calls from, and they call him the Moaner, and he makes a bunch of weird squeaking noises and pig oinks, and reminds me of Charles, and then starts saying really obscene sexual things.
It made me really uncomfortable, actually.
The squealing noises, pig oinks, less so the sexual things.
It's when he starts saying all those really nasty, like obscene things. When he starts talking is when it's
Yeah.
So Barb gets into a back and forth insult match with him, and then he abruptly shifts his tone into a more calm, sinister sound as he says, "I'm going to kill you," and then hangs up.
that was extremely creepy because how he changed his tone so quickly. It goes from like sounding like a sick, over the top joke to something genuinely sinister and threatening.
So at this point,
Sorry, go.
Is it the killer? Is he somehow messing with the telephone lines while in the house? Is a
I
call
think so.
coming from inside the house?
Well, you're jumping ahead, Nick. But
Well, no.
You're jumping ahead like an hour.
No. I'm you know.
Is
So-
it the...
I guess one question I've kind of got here is that, like you said earlier, that they've been getting calls from this guy. So, like,
Yeah. Yes.
clearly he'd been harassing them for some time. I mean, it was a
Right.
sorority house, right?
Yes. This is what I noticed that too. Mention it as if it's been going on, and this is the only time he's first gone into the house, or at least we know of. Even then, here it doesn't yet say whether it's the same person as the killer, but I mean, we could assume it is. But how is he calling them? Right? We don't know yet.
Sure.
So, Barb makes fun of a girl named Claire who is spooked by the phone call, and she goes upstairs, and then the house mother, Miss Mac, comes home, and she's a big, fat, foul-mouthed drunkard. In Claire's room, as she packs to visit her father, she notices someone or something moving around in the closet. As she investigates, the killer pops up from behind a dry cleaning bag that he uses to suffocate.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Gesundheit.
What does he do with it? He suffocates her with the dry cleaning bag.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty impressive how he was in there.
And that was basically the first
Yeah.
kill of the movie. So yeah.
That really set the tone. Like that was a good scene. There's a lot of
It was-
tension too.
It was violent too. Like
Yeah.
it was
Actually-
unexpectedly violent for
Right.
I mean, a 1974 film.
Scary.
So as the girls are downstairs talking and laughing, the killer drags Claire's body up to the attic, and they're obviously saying that Claire's a thought and whatnot. Jess talks to her boyfriend on the phone after thinking it might be the Moaner. There's drama between the two that quite isn't revealed yet. So obviously there's something going on. So Jess checks on Claire, who she believes to be asleep, so she doesn't open the door. Of course, she's up in the attic while the killer is rocking her back and forth on a chair with the bag still over her head, and he sings a lullaby. You can't really understand, it just sounds like gibberish. Where have we seen this before? Next morning, Claire's dad waits for her in the city and gets pegged in the head with a snowball. He goes to the sorority house to look for her, and disgusted by all the crude and raunchy posters about free love and hippieism, and he's obviously a Nixon voter. And he gives... well, the old lady is giving the middle finger in a painting or picture that I want to have in my house. So Jess is at Peter's recital hall and tells him that she is pregnant, but wants an abortion, but Peter does not. Barb feeds a kid some wine back at the house. Jess picks up the phone yet again, screaming when she's alone in another room and away from the damn party, and turns out the call is from the Moaner. Once again. This time the
Yeah.
lines are a little more coherent, or at least understandable. He says all the kind of stuff as if he's talking to different people, and then he does, different types of voices, and, what are some of the things that he says?
I think in this part, this is when he first says, he's like, Billy, Billy, Billy. He keeps yelling Billy, and then he says like some weird things like, what your mother and I must know is, where did you put Agnes, Billy? And all kinds of, almost as if he's talking about like, I don't know, some kind of little kid being abused or abusing sister or some kind of dysfunctional family. I don't know.
Yeah, this is where I kind of was just like, where is all this stuff coming from? Is he kind of using stuff from his own childhood, or I mean, honestly, there was a point where I'm thinking, are there multiple people actually making this phone call? Because the voices get really different. And I mean, it very well could be multiple people in the cast doing voices, but still supposedly one caller. It was very diverse as far as from one voice to the next in some respects. And the later calls, it even gets more wild. And
3 or 4 voices.
Yeah.
So she hangs up. They go to the cops, report Claire missing, but they don't take it seriously. Barb then tells the cops it's part of the house. Number matches up with the word fellatio. I don't understand.
What does anybody know what that meant? He's like, "What's the house number?" Then she says fellatio. I don't understand that. Like
the phone number?
Yeah, I didn't understand.
I don't know.
Is it the phone number? Like, is that like you just dial fellatio with your phone and then you'll get the house?
It's like dial M for monkey.
Because it's 7 letters, so maybe she said, "Oh, just dial it like fellatio, and then you'll get it." Like wherever F is.
F is for friends.
Like 1-800-collect. Right?
U is for you and me. Jess's boyfriend Peter is performing really badly at his piano audition, and later on he smashes the piano out of anger like he's Gallagher. Back at the police station, we see a mother reporting another missing girl, her own 13-year-old daughter. Claire's boyfriend barges into the police station and demands action to be taken. The lieutenant, played by the worst cop ever, John Saxon, who played Nancy's father in Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 3, takes it seriously. But this is the same guy that gets beat up by a skeleton, who then just randomly screams. Ah!
What? Oh.
Yeah.
Barb goes on a drunken rant about how a species of turtle can have sex for 3 days. She shoots.
That was weird.
She soon becomes irate because she thinks everyone is blaming her for driving Claire away because she was being mean to her earlier. A girl named Phyllis, a friend of Jess, gets to go upstairs to go to sleep.
I'm sorry. She yells at Barb to tell her to go.
God damn.
Go upstairs to sleep.
A girl named Phyllis, who's really into this guy with an afro. I mean, it is 70s, but it is what it is. Tells Jess to go upstairs and go to sleep because Jess is obviously drunk. A search party ensues for Claire and the 13-year-old girl. Meanwhile, back at the house, Monster Mac hears the cat named Claude up in the attic. She goes up to investigate and spots Claire's body just before the killer impales her head with some sort of swinging hook, which is probably one of the best murders in the movie, I'd say. And I still don't understand how this worked.
Yeah, there was like just a hanging hook on a rope, and he just throws it at her, and he has pretty dead on accuracy because it goes right in her head. I think in normal circumstances it would have just hit her in the face, and she probably would have fallen down the attic. What was that supposed to be, though? I don't understand that myself.
I'm not sure. Just randomly hanging hook in the attic.
Yeah.
I mean,
so soon after killing Miss Mac, he starts having a tantrum up in the attic by screaming and randomly thrashing things around. And meanwhile, a search party outside finds the 13-year-old girl who's now dead. She's been murdered. We can, of course, assume this was done by the killer before he found his way into the sorority house. But you know what they say about assuming. Jess comes home to her ringing phone. Is the moaner again. He is playing operator. He's obviously a master operator, knows how phones work, and can plug and unplug shit.
He's good with low voltage electricity.
Yeah.
Yes.
He starts off by saying, "Oh God, please stop, please." What other kind of stuff does he say? Because he says a lot of stuff in this.
I think he's like, "I know you did this, Billy," and then he just goes, "Blah, blah," over and over again.
You know, it reminded me a lot of you, Charles, to be honest.
Makes noises, yeah.
So we see after Jess hangs up the phone, the killer's shadow moving around upstairs, and then as Jess calls the cops, someone comes downstairs right behind her. Only it's her boyfriend, Peter. She talks on the phone to the cops about the caller while Peter waits, but the cop dismisses it as a joke. Peter and Jess have a fight. He doesn't really seem interested in the whereabouts of Claire or the dead 13-year-old girl, even though they've already found her. And tells Jess that they're getting married. This doesn't go well. Back at the police station, cops are putting two and two together. The dead 13-year-old, Claire missing, and then the disturbing phone calls going into the same house that Claire was living. Something seems suspicious, and then the cops left Felicio that was written on the missing persons report.
And they really make the guy feel like shit.
This is something straight out of Porky's, actually. Has anyone seen that movie?
Yeah.
I actually haven't, but that seems to track, yeah.
Okay, so back at the house, Peter is angry that Jess doesn't want the baby and calls her a bitch. He accuses her of acting as if she's just having a wart removed, and then tells her that she'll be sorry. So as Peter leaves, John Saxon, the worst detective ever, walks in the front door, and he takes notice of Peter's strange and angry demeanor. The police and a lineman tap the phone in the house as Lieutenant John Saxon asks Jess and her friend Phyllis when was the last time they saw Claire. This movie obviously does not hold up at all.
I do want to say though, like even despite the movie not totally holding up well, I mean the abortion conversation, holy crap, that seems like some pretty deep stuff for the time, because I mean 70s,
right? Is that just before they legalized it, or just after they legalized it? I think
I'm
pretty close.
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I mean I think it is pretty close, at least within 10 years.
Right. But yeah, it's at this point we learn much of this movie doesn't hold up because of all this phone stuff they start talking about. Tapping and then that phone company thing we see later on, that like monstrosity of all those phone lines.
Yeah.
So they explain going to have to keep the guy on the phone as long as possible. This is obviously a very common movie trope. And how it ends normally is they don't get the guy on the phone long enough by like a second. So the horrible police officer / lieutenant / detective / guy who got killed by a skeleton points out that the house.
He's professional in this movie. He's good in this movie.
Yeah. Anyways, so the house will be watched by a patrol car. Meanwhile, Peter's still outside, hiding behind a tree, watching the house as cops leave. Inside the house, Phyllis is crying about the dead body they found, as well as feeling sorry for Claire's dad, fearing that she might be dead as she goes upstairs to sleep. In the attic, the killer continues to rock Claire's dead body back and forth on the rocking chair. This time, putting a doll on her lap makes whiny noises. While Jess waits by the phone, the killer climbs down from the attic and enters into Barb's room. He stands in front of her and stares at her, and then Jess hears her screaming from downstairs. She rushes into Barb's room, tells Jess she dreamed a stranger was coming into her room. The killer, standing in the doorway, watches them briefly. So I have a question. Did the killer sneak out of the room while Jess was talking to Barb? They just didn't see him? Or did he run out of the room and hide before Jess came upstairs?
It's entirely possible it never happened. Or it maybe even happened on a different day. I mean, like, there's no guarantee that this happened, like, the same night. But,
So was this
I mean,
movie just a
it for
dream
sure
the entire
could be.
time?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But I mean, it's possible that just this particular, like, vision or dream that she had was not necessarily something that happened that specific night. It very well could have, but I mean, or it could have alternatively been a dream, or it could have been again some other night if she sleeps in that house a lot. I mean,
Did it show a shot of him walking in the first time? I can't remember. But
into her room, I don't think so. But
no, yeah. Jess is talking to Barb. He's standing right behind him in the doorway, and then he moves away. Which is creepy to know that he'd be standing right there in the doorway,
well,
right behind them.
And we'll get into this later, but it does seem like he moves rather briskly throughout that house.
Yeah,
So I mean,
yeah, that's right.
So, some annoying Christmas carols, as all Christmas carols are, show up, and Jess goes downstairs to tend to them and awkwardly watch them while smiling. And if I was accosted by Christmas carols, I think I would just listen for about 30 seconds, and then just say, "Okay, all right, thanks," and then shut the door.
Yeah, I would do this. That would feel incredibly awkward, just standing there staring at people singing.
I feel like I would have never opened the door to begin with.
Go away. I'm playing SmackDown Live.
It turns out the carolers do play an important role in a few ways in the next scene.
Yeah. So the Christmas carols inadvertently aid the killer pretty much. They go get Jess to go downstairs, leaving Barb at the mercy of the killer again. Jess is still downstairs as the killer re-enters Barb's room and then grabs a glass unicorn.
Yeah. Sorry.
What?
Said assuming he did go, or maybe not, went in before. We
Does
don't
he
know.
teleport?
No, they do pretty good about
Is he Lawnmower
not-
Man?
slasher teleportation like Jason.
A back door. So the killer re-enters Barb's room and grabs a glass unicorn statue, and he's gonna do some bad things. Slowly raises it above her head, and as he's doing this, he's saying, "It's me, Billy. It's all right, Agnes. It's all right. Shh, pretty Agnes." She wakes up briefly to see him standing over her, and he starts stabbing her with the glass unicorn as the carols drown out the screaming. So
this was probably my favorite of the death scenes here, and honestly, like the visuals weren't that great, but I mean, it was a glass statue. I mean, with the visual there was kind of cool, but I mean, just the sound that the stabbing made was really what made that scene just gross.
Yeah, this was the best kill. It was shot really well. Oh yeah, also this officially confirms that the phone caller also is the killer because he says the same stuff. He says Billy.
Sure.
So we just don't know how he's doing it yet.
Magic.
I don't think.
So, the carolers leave, and the phone rings, and it's Billy, and he's obviously a girl.
No, hang on. We should also note this is like so far the best look that we get of the killer, but we still really don't see him, just like his eye and his sort of silhouette. But he definitely looks like someone from the 70s. That's what you could tell.
So in the
How he looks.
like I was saying earlier, the linemen and the cops try and trace it, but he obviously hangs up, and he's pretty sure he's calling from Barb's room at this point because she mentions somewhere early in the movie about having a second phone line.
Oh yeah.
So the killer has been calling the main line for the house from Barb's second line. And if you notice, every time he calls, there's no one upstairs, or there's very few people in the house. So he must go in the room to use it when he calls. The cops call Jess back, telling her she has to keep him on longer in order to trace the call, like every movie ever. Meanwhile,
She's
the killer,
not very good at this.
yeah. Meanwhile, the killer is standing at the top of the stairs, watching her talk on the phone, and most likely knows that they're trying to trace the call. At this point, John Saxon. At this point, the worst cop ever. And Jess suspect it's Peter. Phyllis is now awake, talking to Jess, and asks what the yelling is about, possibly referring to Barb getting killed. Jess, however, thinks Phyllis is talking about the first time Barb woke up. The phone rings. It's Peter. He's crying about the baby. He hangs up, and they get no trace. Jess then remembers that Peter was there when one of the calls was made, and it couldn't have been him. But we also never saw him on screen when the calls were being made, but he was in the house upstairs.
I mean, so technically it could have been him, considering.
Kind of like Sleepaway Camp, where...
Yeah.
And
Peter definitely did have that 70s look, although he had more of like an Iron Maiden look than like a whatever he was supposed to have.
His silhouette did look similar to what we saw the killer, and then.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that was just a red herring. I mean, that's just what they kind of wanted to mislead you there, I think.
So later, the worst detective ever finds the smashed remains of Peter's piano, furthering his suspicions that Peter is the killer. Kind of like Ricky.
Stop it.
Inside Barb's room, through the killer's POV, he dials the main phone line and just answers. Stedman, take your goddamn pills!
It's fucking...
What?
How much of this do we need to redo?
This time he stays on the phone for a very long time and does more voices and gives a little bit more insight on the adventures of Billy and Agnes. He says things like, "You fat bitch bag," and then says, "No, Billy, no!" And then he does some other things like, "Where's the baby? You left Billy alone with Agnes. Where's Agnes? You answer me this minute. Come here. Where's Agnes? Here, mommy. Here's the baby. Baby, all right, mommy."
It's pretty good. As he's doing that, you can hear the voices like overlapping though too. Like you said, it was recorded different times and kind of overlap probably in post-production editing.
Yep. So the phone company traces the call, and then they tell the worst detective ever that the calls are coming from inside the house. He tries to...
Well, now, hold on. That wasn't the same cop, though, was it?
Oh, yeah, it was the other...
It wasn't Saxton that calls them.
Damn it, Chuck.
It was the fellatio cop, yeah.
The fellatio cop.
Well,
So a police officer from the station calls the sorority house to warn Jess to leave the house, but she keeps asking questions. The killer's in the house. So of course, in typical slasher film fashion, she puts the phone down and goes upstairs.
yeah, this just drove me crazy because he specifically told her, "Hey, there's a killer in your house. Get the fuck out of there." She was like, "Well, let me at least check this out on my own."
Yeah, so she at least arms herself with a crowbar. So at least it is a little admirable that she wants to make sure that her friends are okay. But Jess struggles to get the door open and falls in the room, and she finds Barb and Phyllis dead in her room, the bloodied bodies placed on top of each other. Jess suddenly hears whispering that's coming from behind the door. Agnes, Agnes. She spots the killer's eye peeking at her through the crack of the door. He tells her, "It's me, Billy. Don't you tell what we did, Agnes." She pushes the door against him and then runs away. He starts screaming in rage and then gives chase. For no explainable reason, she can't get the front door open. But then again, it's a slasher film. It's like one of the biggest tropes ever, up there with the calls coming from inside the house and such classics as can't start the car.
Well, I mean,
going out to investigate weird noises.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, though. The calls coming from inside the house was not really a trope at this time. I'm pretty sure this was maybe the first example of it.
All right.
Yeah, that was based on the urban legend of. If you read Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, they have that story on it. That it's been around for a while.
But this is. I'm just saying this is probably one of the first times it showed up in a movie, as far as I'm aware.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, we see the killer's hand grab her hair, and then as she struggles, they both fall over. We see a quick shot of the killer getting up as Jess does so as well, and barely makes it to the basement as the killer bangs the door. He then stops and disappears. While in the basement, Jess sees someone lurking outside who turns out to be Peter. He does break the window and climbs in, calling out for Jess. He knows her hiding and approaches her, but appears to be acting friendly and concerned and non-threatening. As the cops show up outside the house, we hear Jess screaming. They find Peter bludgeoned to death while laying against Jess, who is now unconscious. The police put Jess in her room to allow her to sleep it off. Like the worst thing you could do with concussion, but, what do I know?
On top of that, why would they leave somebody who was just almost murdered, with no supervision whatsoever in that house?
Yeah, they left a cop outside the house. They should have had, but I don't even think that's enough. I think they explained that they're gonna let her sleep, and then they'll talk to her later or something. But I don't think one cop outside was enough. That they show later.
Yeah. So, a lone cop stands outside the front door while everyone else leaves. Everything's fine. It's all over. But it's not. The camera pans down the hallway as we hear giggling and humming noises, and we see that Miss Mack and Claire's bodies are still up in the attic, along with the killer, who's very much alive and obviously not Peter. He then climbs down from the attic as we pan out to a wide shot outside of the sorority house. The phone rings, and it 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 rings. The end. And just to get this out of the way, I always wondered why the killer didn't just go into Jess's room to kill her, especially since he's right down the hallway. Also, can we assume that he apparently goes back into Barb's room to use the second phone line to call the main line?
I think. So yeah, I did wonder that too. He didn't just go down and kill her. Instead, he apparently just dialed the phone again. So I'm thinking he's playing a game. He wants Barb to wake up and answer the phone so he could mess with her again. But I also think this goes into a theory, kind of a theory that I had later, but I don't want to say it just yet. But what did you guys think of the movie?
Killer.
I liked it.
I enjoyed it. I mean, it's weird because I have mixed feelings on it. Kind of. I mean, for its time, it was really good.
Yeah.
For the current time, it was okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things. If you compare it to nowadays movies, it's probably not good. But if you go into it with an open mind and think about the time, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I give it -5 stars.
So watching it a second time did not help.
There are too many holes in it.
What?
I thought they cleared them up.
Well,
and in the end, draw your own conclusion.
Well, just more so the fact that he's calling from the house, and they're just stupid. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I mean, the film does lack some sense of closure because you still don't know at the end of the movie who the killer is.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's really, I guess, the biggest thing. I mean, there's obviously some theories we could potentially get into here, but I still don't think it was.
Yeah,
I don't think it was played that fast and loose. I think a lot of the holes that you're seeing here might just again be because of the time in which it was made. Like, I know obviously that this wouldn't work today because like I fucking screen every phone call I get. I'm never going to answer the phone just from a random number. So
easily they could much easier trace a call. So what do you guys think about? Do you think that the things this killer says it has to do with his own personal life, like some sort of abusive childhood or something?
I believe so.
I'm gonna say either that or schizophrenia, like multiple personalities, dissociative identity disorder or something. You know,
that is possible because his voice would be different sometimes.
That's the only other thing I can think if it's not him kind of reliving his childhood.
So can we talk about the whole Billy and Agnes thing?
Yeah. I feel like he's Billy, and he's just like he could be reenacting stuff from his childhood, and he's talking about Agnes, and it sounds like there's some. I mean, this is what I think. It sounds like there's sexual abuse from him to Agnes because he says like, "Don't tell him what we did, Agnes," and then I think he does his dad's
sexual
voices.
Provocative stuff.
Yeah, and then he does like a dad's voice, and he goes, "What did you do with Agnes, Billy? Don't leave him alone with Agnes." So it's pretty suggestive.
Let's do a sequel rundown.
Or remakes, I guess. Was the 2006 remake as well?
I'll do that. I've seen that, but before we do that, can I real quick go through my theory of the killer? Not his childhood, just why he's there.
Sure.
Okay. I think that to some extent, he knows these people somehow. Or at least he didn't choose that house randomly because he already knew their main line, and it was already established he was calling them before he ever got into the house.
I kind of got that. I kind of got that impression too, that he was like. I mean, he seemingly knew that house really well.
Yeah, I think so too, and but at the same time, like he also seems too deranged to be around people though in like any normal setting, like parties and whatnot. But so I don't feel like he could be. Maybe like an acquaintance to them, and he's been in the house before, acting like a normal person. I'm not sure about that, but he also does have a fixation with Jess because there were several times where he could have killed her and he didn't, but he killed all these other people, and so he was fixated on her for some reason. But he didn't choose that house randomly.
I think there was something about the whole story between Jess and Peter. And the baby and everything like that kind of, I think, maybe intrigued him.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And that's probably why he kind of left them, or let that whole side of things marinate a little bit more.
Yeah. And then yeah, go ahead.
I think she might have been, in part, like the target. Because, I mean, if she was who he was ultimately targeting, then of course you would want to target kill everyone around her first to fuck with her more.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think it was just by chance that she just ended up being the lead girl. I think
the final girl, as it were.
Heroine.
Well, yeah, not really the final girl since she died and all, but you know.
Oh well, we don't know because.
Oh, that's true.
This is
again another one of the other unanswered questions.
Right. And this is the other thing too: is why didn't he go and kill her? He could have. There's no one else in the house. She's sleeping. He's right down the hall. He could have just gone in and killed her, but instead he went back into I think he did, Barb's room to call the main phone line. Like, where's the logic in that, other than he's just sick? He's trying to get her to pick up the phone. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't kill him.
I do think a lot of it does just kind of boil down to the killer is just fucking nuts.
He's just a psycho. You know?
So how would you rank
trying to
him,
break it down further than that? I don't know.
compared to all the other killers that we've seen? Where do you rank Billy? Yeah.
I mean, I think he's scary because you don't see him. I think that's the best part. Is just the movie felt it didn't need to reveal who he was. I think that makes it scary for me.
But at the same time, we've had some really good killers too. So this is really tough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put him at the bottom of the list.
Why?
I didn't think he was very good.
I don't know. He was pretty stealthy. He was scary. He was creepy.
Well, when you figure the the intelligence of the people that he's chasing after.
I mean, the only really dumb thing was when Jess went upstairs.
Yeah, like I don't think that they were ultimately all that stupid. They were.
Yeah.
There was nothing really that. I mean, they had no reason to believe anybody was even in the house. Why would they go about their business any differently? Up until the point that they told her not to go upstairs, everybody just kind of thought, "Oh well, we're getting these weird, creepy phone calls." But you know what? We're fine in the house. Oh, the other thing I wanted to kind of bring up was there was that whole group from the search party that showed up. That's two guys from the search party that showed up.
Oh yeah, they freaked out Phyllis.
That would have freaked me out too. What the fuck was that all about? Make sure you don't answer the door for anybody. But the search party's cool.
And he was first peeping at the girl in the bathroom too. Phyllis.
You guys don't really have search party lanyards or anything. You've got guns.
I know he's holding a.
Are we sure it's not them?
Yeah.
By the way, we're not totally sure, but
America or Canada? Because I know that it's a Canadian production. So
that's an interesting question because I thought Jess did definitely have some sort of an accent. Maybe it was French Canadian.
Could be, yeah. Yeah, she's. I think that actress is. I looked Argentinian and British, but
okay, so not French Canadian.
No, well, could be for the movie, yeah. But I'm assuming Canada, I guess. Are there any serial killers in Canada?
Of course, they just caught two recently.
Yeah, no, I know. I know about the military guy that recently. Yeah, I think that's it for the theory for me, at least. You want to do the rundown?
Well, my only other theory, though, is, and this is a dumb theory, so forgive me in advance, but we had talked briefly about our thoughts on the movie, just in general, whether we liked it or not, and I had mentioned something to the effect of it kind of reminded me of Suspiria, which.
Oh right, yeah.
I mean, it's a loose comparison, and I don't know if anybody but Charles and I have seen Suspiria, but. That's one we need to put on the list if it's not already on the list. And sidebar, but there was a central target. I mean, but there was a lot more supernatural stuff involved. And there was a point where I was like, "Is this guy a fucking ghost?"
Yeah.
I mean, up until the point where you see his eyeball behind the door or whatever, and she literally hits him with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think it could track, and I mean, it would explain why he has such. Well, the way he moves in the first-person view, it was a bit ghost-like. I thought. I don't know. I mean, it's a stretch, but I don't know. That was another thing that crossed my mind.
I know. I could totally see that. How it's similar to that.
Suspiria is the better movie, though. I do want to put that on the record.
I'm pretty sure I haven't seen it in a long time. I'm pretty sure it is. That makes me want to watch it now again. But yeah, I mean, you could see how it's right off the bat how influential this movie was for Halloween, which was like 5-6 years later, I think. And this movie starts off with through a killer's point of view, just like Halloween does. And Friday the 13th 1, the whole, throughout the whole movie, you just see the killer's like shoes and point of view, and then until you see Mrs. Voorhees at the end. Spoilers.
Killer, mommy, killer.
So, yeah.
So, closing thoughts.
I give it a 7 out of 10. I liked it. Decent movie.
0.
I'd probably give it about a 5.5 or a 6. I mean, I enjoyed it, but the thing I took away from it most is that it makes me want to watch other movies and not this movie again necessarily.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to watch Halloween and Friday the 13th now.
Yeah.
Right.
So, what about those sequels?
Yeah. Sorry. Or are they sequels or are they remakes?
All right. Let's just
And I've
start
used
talking about
air quotes very loosely on that.
I think, yeah. So there's 2, I guess, remakes. One in 2006, which it's called Black Xmas. They changed, little clever change, but it's basically like almost a copy of the first movie, except the biggest difference is they actually give a face to the killer, and it actually spends half the movie going through his origins. And it's an abused kid named Billy Linz, who is undesirable and unliked from his parents because he has yellowish skin, and his mom then molests him, and they give birth to Agnes. So it's like his sister-daughter. And years later at the sorority house, which I guess is where Billy used to live, he escapes from a mental hospital, and he attacks the girls there, like the phone calls. He does the phone calls and all that. And then the twist is, though, that not only is he the killer, but also Agnes is helping him kill people. And from the last thing I remember in the final conflict was they're in a hospital, and one of them gets killed with a defibrillator. It wasn't as bad as I thought, honestly, but it's still not worth it. And like the mystery behind the killer is completely gone, and that's one of the reasons why I like the original, and I thought it was really good and scary. So I wouldn't recommend it. Go ahead, Logan.
And there was a new one that didn't have any. It's like basically just a whole new movie with the title. So basically, it's these frat girls that are basically being killed by frat guys that have been brainwashed by, by the Hawthorne bust. And it involves black goo and black magic and stuff. And basically, these frat boys are trying to either they're going to kill all the women, or they are going to put them back in line in their place where they're supposed to be. Now, that's not me saying that. That's what the movie is, basically. But you don't know this early in the movie. Like, you just think one guy's killing them all, and then they kill the guy, and then, like, here comes more people, more hooded figures. So it's just like a bunch of frat boys taking out frat girls. Anyway, so the movie starts out, and I took all the notes down. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going over the whole movie. Anyway, the only thing really the movie had in common is that it was a fraternity and the cat. I liked it, but like Kevin said, Logan likes everything.
It sounds amusing.
I
think, yeah.
And then, so basically, they burn down the house, and then all the frat boys die. And that's kind of it. And then the very post-credit scene, the cat is licking the black goo. So that makes me think there's going to be a Black Christmas 2 with cats murdering people.
Isn't there a horror movie where there's cats and they're killing people?
Pet Sematary?
No, it's a bunch of just cats and they're like
there's a fun movie about a zombie type cat on a boat called The Uninvited, I believe, and that's something that's worth watching.
Yeah,
it
isn't that
sucks,
80s
but it's worth watching.
one, right?
What about the
What's
thing?
It's on like a yacht.
It's like an 80s. Yeah.
What about the thing Kevin
Yeah, I
showed
remember-
us? How to kill a cat or something, or how cats kill people or something? That you're trying to show us in the chat.
That's a different Kevin. It was not me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Or Charles. It was Charles.
What?
You shared
What did
something
I-
like how to kill a cat or something, or cats killing people
No,
or
I
something.
didn't.
You're like, you don't see a video of.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've sent several things like that. What was it?
You were like saying like here's you watched something about cats killing people or something.
I don't know. Was it like a real video, like of somebody getting hurt?
I
or
didn't
something?
want to watch it. I was afraid.
It could have been a video of a tiger doing something to somebody. I don't know.
I don't know.
It sounds like they were. They just called it Black Christmas for like purely almost commercial purposes to make more money. Maybe
Like
for
it's
name-
still the same
name
premise, but they
recognition?
just changed
Yeah.
up the whole plot basically.
They do the phone calls.
No, he would DM them via
What?
Twitter.
Oh
before
Jesus
they-
fucking Christ! And you
Oh.
liked this movie?
yes.
So
It was a more modern
I'm
version.
curious about it though. I am. You piqued my curiosity.
And instead of
regardless.
like going to the police, there's just one on-campus security cop they go to, and he's shitty. Like they're going to him, like talking to him, like telling him they need help, and like he's just sitting there eating a sandwich.
Wow, they should have called it like Dark Christmas or Dark Holidays,
Like
just to
yeah, like there's more
distance
to it
itself.
than what I'm explaining, but like
Yeah.
I'm just doing a very short. Like there's this whole thing about the teacher being shady and the girl being raped from the other guy from the fraternity and all that. It's just like there's a lot more to it, but
Mhm.
I don't know.
So yeah, thank y'all for joining us. Next time we are scheduled to do Sleepaway Camp 2. We'll see what happens. Everything changes on a flip of it.
I suggest we do a review of the movie Cats. Speaking of,
Next week is Langoliers.
Langoliers, yep.
Actually, Langoliers is officially on the list now.
is it really?
I have requested it for my birthday.
Yeah, everybody gets a birthday request.
When is your birthday?
Mine
Do
is-
I have any like sort
I
of
guess
veto power?
January 29th. It'll be
Oh,
that
shit.
week sometime.
Oh,
Okay.
Jesus, this is really gonna happen.
And me and Nick might watch it live because Nick's coming to my house that weekend.
Oh,
Yep.
We're gonna
I
make,
never wanted to
we're
watch
gonna,
that again.
We're gonna make our wives sit through 4 hours of the Langoliers, and then we're gonna end up getting divorced.
no, it's separate
Well, if
day.
that's the case, I have something in mind for my own birthday. But
The
you guys have a little
Ginger
while
Dead Man.
because no, we're not. I actually did not watch that. I know I said I was going to, and I still kind of intend
I
to.
still want to low key.
I've just been so busy lately. But it just seems so like Gary Busey
I feel like I would like it because
as
I
the
like
gingerbread
everything.
man who
down.
kills people. Like,
But
yeah,
this is the best movie I've ever seen.
it.
10 out of 10.
So yeah, thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Merry Christmas, Happy Boxing Day to everyone who's a
Very
Canadian.
black. Very
Yes,
black.
enjoy all your boxes.
Merry Christmas, Brad.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Brad. Good night, Canada.